Let's talk about focus. First, let me say, wow, what a January. I saw a post this morning on Facebook and it said, January was a tough year, but we made it. Yeah, pretty much. It was exciting. In December, I was thinking a lot about my 2020 resolutions. And then, of course, in January, I'm doing some of those things, but the resolutions are kind of evolving. And a whole bunch of things came my way that I didn't expect. And that's just how it happens. And I'm feeling pretty organized. I feel like maybe, probably, kind of, I'm gonna be able to handle whatever BS comes my way this year in 2020. There will be bullshit. In my Merry Christmas Eve video, I'll link it there, I talked about struggling to make a plan for 2020. The issue is that I'm trying to juggle way too many creative projects. That video was posted just a few weeks before I got my official objective personality typing. And looking back on it now, it's kind of laughable because everything that I was talking about were like such ENFP issues. I've always been a jack of all trades, and people really admire that about me. I'm kind of a little bit proficient at a whole bunch of things. The problem is that my talent and focus is spread out over way too many disciplines. It's hard to manage the constant shifting inspiration. I feel inspired all the time, and there are really good ideas blooming in my head, but I can't do them all, and I shouldn't do them all, because when I try to do too many, I'm way less effective. I'm not channeling my energy behind one thing and executing it really effectively. So in December, I was really trying to talk myself into eliminating some of my creative projects. And I really pretty much failed at that. There wasn't anything I was willing to let go. Now, I have let things go over the years. In the last year and a half, I have not been making any of my own clothes. Ever since I started my Etsy store, I stopped making my own clothes because there's just not enough time. But prior to that, I would pretty much make everything I wore, you know, a shirt, a dress, whatever. I hate making pants, so I usually wouldn't make jeans or pants. But, you know, I made all my own clothes. And I just don't have time to do that now. I'm just juggling too many elements. So I wasn't really actually able to narrow down my list at all. But I did have some perceptual shifts in thinking about the way that I use my attention and focus that I think are going to help me really execute all these things in 2020. Hopefully. We'll see how it goes. So here are the elements that I'm dealing with. I have my massage therapy business, Bright Star Massage, and everything that goes with that. There's a YouTube channel associated with that business, social media outlets, you know, Instagram and Facebook, advertising and marketing, appointments, scheduling, and then also actually being at the office and giving massage. Then I have my Etsy store, handsomeannie.com. I also would very much like to practice guitar every day. I've been playing guitar since I was 12 years old, but I've been sort of on and off in the consistency of my practice, and I really just don't want to let it slip away. I thought about it really hard, and that is just not something that I'm willing to eliminate. So I'm committed to practicing guitar every day. And then exercise. I want to run 4 times a week, and I want to strength train at least 2 times a week. There's also a visualization and meditation practice that I'm committed to in 2020. And then there's this channel. Why does this channel even exist? There's no agenda here, and I can't really explain it, but somehow processing my own experience out loud like this is really helpful. It's almost like free therapy, and people watch it or they don't watch it, and they like it or they don't like it, and meanwhile I'm just doing it. And for whatever reason, I'm not willing to let it go at this point. And I also really enjoy watching similar channels. And if you're in the objective personality community and in the Facebook group, you might know what I'm talking about. When people post their typing videos, I just appreciate that so much. It's such a gift that people share that. It's amazing. It's so valuable to just see people talking about themselves very authentically and, you know, processing their own lives out loud. It's a very vulnerable thing to do, and I feel privileged to be able to witness that. So I thought really hard about it, and I'm not willing to let any of these things go. So I'm going to attempt to juggle all these things. I have made a rule for 2020 that if someone asks me to participate in any additional projects that I will first say, let me think about it. I get excited about things and sometimes I jump in too quickly. But I'm gonna have to keep reminding myself when someone wants me to jump on board with them in their projects to collaborate or whatever, that I first need to say, let me think about it. And then really, really think about it and be realistic about how much time it's gonna take, because shit takes time. So now I'm going to talk about some of the strategies I'm using to juggle all this and get all this stuff done. First of all, I really organized my studio. I'm pretty organized already, but there were just some things that needed to be changed, and I organized a system where everything's really flowing and all the various workstations are set up. And the one thing that I'm really doing differently in 2020 is that I'm picking up after myself all the time. At the end of the day, when I'm finished with my workstation, I clean everything up. And just throughout the day, if something's out of place, I put it back in place so that things never get too out of control and I never feel overwhelmed. Okay, the next thing, exercise, running and strength training. I'm really solid on that. That is non-negotiable. I already have a really good track record of getting up every morning and exercising, so that's just an institution in my life. I have kind of a philosophy about goals and what order you should put them in. When I'm thinking about my goals, I cross-reference those goals with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, I'm sure you're probably familiar with this. If not, I don't know, look it up. I'm not going to explain it, but you know, the basic things just briefly are on the bottom, physiological needs. And then you go up from there, you know, physiological needs, shelter, warmth, food, and then maybe, you know, some exercise and fitness. Fitness is higher than just basic survival. So you survive, then maybe you get some fitness and, you know, other safety needs. And then, you know, it goes up to your esteem and self-actualization, you know, growing into your most magnificent self that you were born to be. The reason that I cross-reference my goals with Maslow's hierarchy of needs is because if you nail these ones on the bottom, it makes everything above it better. If you're fit, then everything else in your entire life gets better. That's just how it works. So here's an example. Say you are writing the great American novel and you're so focused. So you sit at your desk 9 hours a day and you write and write. You don't get any exercise. You drink lots of Starbucks lattes and junk food while you're sitting there for 9 hours a day. And you write the great American novel. And then you win the big prize. And then you die because you were eating junk food for a year and not exercising. So you never live on further to write another great American novel. Maybe America needs this great novel, you know, but you can't write it because you're dead, because you didn't exercise. That's how Maslow's hierarchy of needs works. And that's why you should cross-reference your goals and aspirations with the hierarchy. It really works. Okay, so exercise is in the bag. Now, for my approach to practicing guitar every day, it's just kind of a shift in how I think about it. In the morning, when I'm looking at what I'm going to do for the day, I decide when I'm going to practice guitar. I sort of look at the flow of the day and I think like, it makes the most sense to practice guitar when I get out of the shower. I'll go running, I'll take a shower. While my hair's drying, I'll practice guitar. If it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. That's just the way it is. Okay, another thing is that sometimes if I'm really busy, I still pick up the guitar and I practice, but I might only play one song one time through. So if that's all I can do for the day, that's fine. I did it. I nailed my goal for the day. I practiced guitar. And then on a different day, maybe I have more time. And so I practice longer. Another approach that I'm using for guitar practice is that I pick no more than 2 new songs that I'm learning at a time. So in the past, I would probably overwhelm myself with like 20 songs that are really cool and I really want to learn, and I would just flip back and forth between them. And well, it makes more sense to learn 1 to 2 songs at a time. So after you do that practice for the day, if you still have time, then you can go back to the known songs, the ones that you already know. You don't need to look at the sheet music and you can just play them, learning more songs faster by really focusing on one at a time. I'm also committed to this visualization exercise in 2020. That's a huge focus for me. And the visualization is kind of a heart-centered thing. At first, I was visualizing a lot while I was laying down. This might sound kind of kooky. I lay in this sleeping bag thing that I zip up, and it's a sauna blanket. So I zip myself up in this waterproof sleeping bag thing that has heating elements in it, and I sweat while I visualize because I really like sweating. But that's kind of limiting because visualizing takes time. You might visualize for 20 minutes or 50 minutes or whatever. So I started to just think creatively and kind of expand my idea of what it means to meditate. You don't need to sit. You don't need to lay down. You can visualize while you're active. So here are a couple of kind of creative visualizations that I've been doing. One of them is that I visualize while I'm running. So this is a heart-centered visualization. So I picture a big green light where my heart is, and it's like this battery of love that's charging up while I'm running. I call it heart-centered cardio. So that's a really efficient use of my time. I'm gonna run anyway, so I might as well, do this visualization while I'm running. Another place where I visualize is at my office when I'm giving people massages. So I actively, visualize this heart meditation while I'm giving a massage. And for this channel, I'm really just focusing on filming in a way that this shit is easier to edit, because that is the hardest part. I taught myself in 2019 how to do all this. I never knew how to edit a video or get the goddamn iMovie to open. It's always like not responding, so annoying. Anyway, I figured out a lot of that stuff and I've kind of streamlined the process. So, that's faster. But here we come to the actual point of this video. I want to talk about setting aside really tight focus bubbles to focus on one thing at a time. So I made a goal in 2020 to just focus on the marketing for my massage business. So I'll focus on that really intensely and just get it done, get it all set up, all the social media, all the newsletters, all the Facebook advertisements. And then for the rest of the month, I'm free to work on my Etsy store. Now, in January, I didn't get it all done in the first 10 days. I actually realized that since my birthday's in February, I want to devote the whole month of February to just focusing on my Etsy store in all my spare time. So I did a whole lot of work in January, like social media, post scheduling, thinking out into the future, like all of January, all of February, thinking about what I'm going to do in March. I set up a whole bunch of Facebook ads. I had to learn a bunch of new stuff because it's this kind of, Facebook advertising that's using technology in a different way that I wasn't used to. So I had to learn a bunch of new things, which is like really boring and tedious. But I learned all that, got the ads set up so that now in February, what I have to do for my massage business is keep up with messaging, check in on the Facebook ads and maintain them, keep up with scheduling, and then mostly just show up to my office to give awesome massages. That's the easy part. The easiest part of being a massage therapist is giving the massage. The hard part is marketing and trying to make a living. So all the rest of my free time, I can really focus on my Etsy store, and that store deserves the time and attention. I put so much work into developing this product. It's ceramic earrings for when you have like a big hole in your ear. So I make these in all the different sizes for the people with the big holes in their ear. You would not believe how many problems I had to solve to develop this product. But I get, favorites all the time on Etsy, and I get, a handful of sales every month, but I'm not marketing it in any way. It's just like I put a bunch of stuff up there and I'm just getting organic sales. I really need to learn the marketing aspect of that and get those images out there just using Pinterest and that sort of thing. And then also as far as the product line, I just developed this within the last 2 months, and I just need to make more. I need more variety because people go on there and they see some earrings that are gauge 00, but there might only be 8 pairs to choose from in that size, and people really love them, but maybe they don't quite see the color that they want. So I'm really trying to perfect the product line and streamline it. So I'm listening to audiobooks while I do it, and I am just living up this February. I love it. I'm so proud of myself that I set aside this focus month. And I think it's just a cool idea moving forward. So if you're like, a typical ENFP that you have a hard time with like too many creative projects and focusing, this is a method you can use. You could maybe say, okay, in March, I'm going to focus on these 2 things and really give it my best attention. Maybe in April, you can like shift your focus and be like, okay, these things are solid now, in April, I'm going to focus on this project. And that might help you to be more effective. I'm not sure if it's going to work yet. I'll let you know. I learned that tip from that book, Essentialism, that I mentioned that I read 3 times. It's a really good book. It's really about, focusing your attention behind one thing at a time so that you can be more effective. There's a whole range of suggestions in that book, and one of them is just eliminating things. Just be ruthless, like just decide not to do the Etsy store or decide not to practice guitar every day. I didn't really feel comfortable with any of those solutions, and so the solution that I settled on was one, getting super, super organized, and then doing these tight bubbles of focus. I think it's an approach, a solution that might work. We'll see. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you have any special tricks that can be applied to getting shit done and focusing when you are a person who has too many creative projects?